Good evening, Seth here. Firstly, thank you to anyone who's subscribed or tuning in to hear me talk or see my work. That is very, very kind of you. Thank you. I am here to talk about this stuff in a wee bit more depth than what I can fit into a 60-second video. Yeah, I found you. I mean, I couldn't have pointed out a yew tree to you, what, 2 years ago? I think it was maybe a pine tree. It's starting to rain, but yeah, the last few years, long story short, I became familiar with the yew tree and then bows in general, and I've become somewhat obsessed with making the things. It seemed like an appropriate challenge, an organic step from the foraging I was doing and just the outdoor activities in general. So each time I take the dog out, I can go and look around and find materials for making this thing. And it sort of gives you the drive to get out. You know, if you didn't, if you wanted to take your dog out, probably do want to take your dog out. But when you do, you could also bring back a log that you can start a project with. And this was the project I landed on. This little sucker. This one's called Saxon. Which number is this? This is the third one I made. The first one I made is down with my brother. That one's called Stoker. Stoke the passion in bows. Just sort of has. That one was a very simple stick bow. A little bit too short. Which is the first thing I learned. Actually, no, the first thing I learned was pay attention to how long the thing is and dial it in with your string. That is yeah, that's an important thing to learn. This is where I landed. I saw other people were making the English longbow, so I went for a deep flex reflex effort. Why did I do that? Well, what was the first question I asked? The first question was why. Why do some bows have this cut out and some bows don't? I guess that was the start of the bow making, aside from learning about you and the actual bow making. So why? Why'd you have a cut out? It all came down to modern arrow materials. So I was like, I see we had some arrows left over from my mum's recurve bow. Slightly too short for me and my brother to use, they were just left over. But it made me want to design a traditional bow what could shoot aluminium arrows. It seemed like the thing to do, make it perform like a modern recurve bow would do, rather than a traditional bow which is more or less stuck with your wooden arrows, stuff that can bend around the limb there. I guess that was the next thing to learn, is what it is about the arrow bending around the bow, which is tied in with archery. That's the archer's paradox. And that's what I tried. Well, I tried making arrows, but it's this whole other thing. You need a whole other workshop. Massive respect to people who do it well. If you get an arrow which is matched to the bow design, the bow power, the length, it will just shoot well. So yeah, that was another thing I learned. And I guess it was from the arrow you could talk about speed, the speed of the arrow. I mean, the weight of the arrow was one thing, stiffness was the other thing we're sort of talking about with having a cutout here. If you have a cutout and it hasn't got a bend around the bow, you can have a very nice stiff arrow, and aluminium makes a very nice light stiff arrow, and it just flies dead straight. So you've got some nice lightweight ammunition. How would you get the lightweight ammunition to leave the bow quickly? I guess that's the the challenge for every bow maker, right? That's when you can start looking at recurve. And so why would people design the bows with a recurve and some not? I guess that's the main difference between your modern recurve and your English longbow. And that's what made me start looking at think about stored energy and such. I mean, you got the quality of the wood. This is why yew is legendary, because it stores energy. It has a very, very solid memory, very quick solid memory of where it's supposed to return to. And of course it has the that natural makeup that a composite bow would try and achieve. You're trying to layer up different materials to create a nice tense surface on the front, and then a surface on the back which you can press as well, which yew just does itself. That's why we call them self bows. Something else I learned last year. I had no idea about self bow, right? It's a bow you make yourself. Nah, what an idiot. But anyway, yes. So you end up with Well, I guess bamboo would be the other main competitor for, you know, the best bow material. Yeah, so we take the English longbow material. Now, the English longbow, you know, it gets its energy from having very big, long limbs, aside from being made out of a, you know, real nice, quick wood. Big, long limbs and a very tiny tip at the end. And from what I understand, because the limbs are so long, when you pull the string, the limb only moves a very small amount. As opposed to a recurve, it has to move quite a lot. But the recurve will have more stored energy in theory because the string is trying to return to beyond the limb, whereas the longbow doesn't have that. So I guess I landed somewhere in between. You're sort of trying to make the thing shorter, but still make it draw. That was the next bit in the equation. You still wanted to have it draw a decent length. The longer the string is behind the arrow, the longer it's transferring energy into the arrow, so the faster the arrow should go. We need to try and combine all of these things into this thing. That's the other thing with the English longbow. I mean, it's a great bow to make, but you need a really very long, clean, straight piece of yew to make them work. And these are not easy to find, and if you're going to go and buy them off someone, they are not cheap. Because, well, yeah, this was a very popular bow wood 300, 400, 500 years ago, to the point where they cut it all down, and now you can't cut it down. So you can find it, buy it, it's brilliant. Otherwise, you should probably use ash. That is everywhere and is really very good as a bow wood. I hear that is my next bow project. Yes, but this is the one I've gone for. The deflex reflex. It's a lovely shape. Really nice bow. I think I've finished 8 now. So 8, yes. Yeah, most of them up online. And yeah, not quite sure what to do next. I'll keep making them. I'll make something different. I mean, do I keep refining this design and make it exactly what I want it to be? I mean, this one's pretty good. I love Saxon. It's a really good shooting bow. But that's the other thing to learn about me. I'm not an archer. I came here from foraging and biking, and then just out of a certain necessity and life change. It's a fantastic bow. I need to make the other one shoot like this. It seems like the right thing to be doing. Yeah, 2019 sort of threw everything a little bit sideways and made us, well, should have made you reevaluate what was important in life, and I sort of ended up here. The forest holds a lot of good things. I mean, people talk about, you know, loving the forest and leaving the forest, but I don't think we really appreciate how deep that is for humans. I mean, this entire process is anti-depression. Take yourself out into the countryside, into the forest, to get fresh air, exercise, learn some things. You broaden your horizons and bring back a piece of wood, and you know, that's something to do for the next 20, 30, 50 hours, however immaculate you want to make the thing. You can, yeah, it's something we've done for a very long time. It's tied in with human nature, what we should be doing with our psyche and our energy and our time. I guess that's why I'm doing this. Yes, thanks for joining me in recording it and documenting it. I mean, for the most part, trying to get attention, so I can actually move these things and pay some rent and feed myself. But it's, yeah, there's definitely a core value there of remembering that we're part of an ecosystem. We've known this for, well, put a figure on it. How long have we been human for? 10,000 years? Ray Mears could tell you the oldest bow found. Mesolithic, I think. They were definitely doing this. So, yeah, something special, I think. I like to think so anyway. Yeah, thanks for joining me anyway.